So about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I heard about Occupy Wall Street going on in New York. I was in Virginia, hanging out with my brother. And it seemed interesting and exciting, so I went down there. I brought nothing but some clothes and a smartphone. I wasn't going down there because of, the political causes, whatever it was, but it seemed like something interesting was happening and everyone was talking about it. When I went down there, I just had a smartphone. I had a Galaxy S, and I started filming. I started taking photos. And eventually, I started doing live streaming through a company called Ustream. So with my iPhone, and initially, this is a Galaxy S3, but I initially had the original because this is 2011. I just started filming, just like this, and through the cell connection, I was able to connect at a low-quality live video broadcast straight to the web. Using social media, using Twitter and Facebook, I would tell people, oh, hey, if you want to watch what's going on, I just so happen to have a live broadcast going, no big deal. An interesting thing that happened when Michael Moore came down to the park, there was, I believe, MSNBC was trying to shoot a live interview of him. And they were told by the police they couldn't bring their truck down to the stock exchange, so they didn't. And Michael wanted to go down to the stock exchange and give a live interview, so I just so happened to have my phone on me and said, hey, I'm live, I can do it. So I did, and as time went on, it sort of started to become journalism. Go figure, I had no idea what I was doing. But I knew that I had this tool, and I knew that there was a story to be told, so I told it. Eventually, after about a month, this rapid growth in viewership, people were watching and saying, this is really interesting and unique, these first-person point-of-view live broadcasts being done with a cell phone. When the park got raided by the police, there was no coverage, but everyone online was hearing that the police are wiping out Occupy Wall Street, and we want to know what's happening. But there was me with my cell phone, with quality, but it was there. And so it quickly went viral, and in the first day, this broadcast started, I ended up with over 250,000 viewers, and I went for 21 hours straight using just a cell phone and a battery. So I'll show you the battery. So this guy right here is the Energizer XPAL. I had this, and I had this, and I did a broadcast for a major historical moment, 21 hours straight, documenting everything. And that was really it. But from there, from Occupy Wall Street and beyond, I started working in expanding on this technology. I actually have a background in computers and all that stuff. So throughout the past year, I've traveled around the country to all of these major protests, from the riots in Anaheim, the NATO protests, the May Day protests, and I've even gone to Spain, and I've gone to Canada. And I have done live, high definition. I've upgraded with the help of this guy right here. Quite literally just this. I can do a high definition broadcast, and my feed during the NATO protests in Chicago, from my iPhone 4S, this is the 5, was used by NBC Chicago live on television. Meanwhile, most news outlets are using these big backpacks, and they're very expensive, or they're using satellite trucks, which are very expensive. Is it not moving? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Oh, great. I got extra time. Good. So this backpack that I have right here is a full production studio. This computer is a solid-state Asus 125 gig, 1.8 gigahertz, quad-core, 4 gigs of RAM. I can edit movies, and it all fits in this small bag. It ends up weighing about 35 pounds. I've got 2 batteries that can last over 40 hours for my cameras. In the top part, I've got a DSLR, so I can shoot high-definition photographs, and I go on the ground to places around the world at this point, and I'm doing it for dirt cheap. Meanwhile, we still have companies that are using outdated technology. To be fair, the bigger the company is, the harder it is for them to pivot as these advancements start taking place. And as a sole individual who uses the internet and social media for the majority of my work, I really don't have to spend that much money. I mean, my plane ticket and my cell phone bill is all I really need. And then I can go to Spain for the Madrid protests, and I can live broadcast, film. I can shoot with a DSLR in one hand and a live broadcast in the other. At the end of the day, I can cut it all together. I can literally take care of what an entire newsroom takes care of on my own, albeit it's good to have a producer. So In 2011, we encountered a problem, my business partner and I. So my business partner is this technology guy from California, and he's run these real successful cybersecurity companies. And the problem we were facing was agility, maneuverability. You know, we do have these cameras, but one thing we were seeing was a violation of press freedom. During Occupy Wall Street, the police would grab cameras, and this is not this is not just an example of one moment. Lost connection. We'll leave that; it'll be fine. This is not an example of something that happens just at Occupy Wall Street. This happens all the time in every country I've been to, in every place in this country I've been to. The police don't like people filming. They have and in fact, a lot of the activists who are down there, the protesters themselves, don't like journalists either. So we thought, hey, if we can get aerial coverage, no one can tell us what we can or can't shoot. Oh, that's not good. What are we connected? That's fine. I'll fix it. Don't worry about it. So this guy right here costs $250. It took us about a month to figure out how to get it to run from a computer. Over the past year and a half, a lot of hobbyists and hackers have put together programs like this one, which is obviously having trouble. But I'm not flying, so no one's going to, we're safe. I'll figure it out. So the whole point of most of what I do is trying to find the lowest cost solutions possible. From using a cell phone and seeing the versatility and the effectiveness of being able to get the message out regardless of the quality of the footage. It's important. And in fact, with recent events that have been happening over the past week and even over the past year with a lot of the tragedies we've seen, it's been difficult to source information on the ground. But we do have this technology. Specifically, there was an incident a couple months ago where there was, I believe, a shooting at a mall in Wisconsin. And we had a young woman just so happened to be there, and she started tweeting what was going on. She instantly became a key source for every news organization in the country that was trying to find out what's happening in this mall. And although the technology exists to do a live broadcast, most people aren't familiar with it, and they're not doing it. But you can. It costs whatever your cell phone bill is, get unlimited data, you'll be fine. So with what time I have left, and I'm going to set this thing up and explain this. So this has got a built-in camera, and you can see it. I'm going to try and reconnect it so I can get rid of those little warnings. Now it's going to fly. Hopefully it'll be safe. I really wanted to fly it over you guys, but I don't think that's a good idea. So you're also get to see how I'm doing it. So it just connects through the Wi-Fi. This thing costs a couple $100, and with a couple $100 and maybe the help of some computer nerd, you can basically have live coverage at any event. There is a commercial restriction by the FAA, but it's kind of ill-defined as to what grounds they're using. So you can see on the bottom left, we've got the pitch and the roll. It looks like everything's good except for the velocity readings, but don't worry, I'm not going to go fast with it. And let's see what happens if I take it off from the table. Let's full screen this. So. Now the controller's not working. Cool, you'll get a demonstration on how I program it. All right, we'll do this. Seeing as how this technology is new, you're getting a live demonstration on how these things sometimes don't work. But trust me, we went through this twice, yesterday and this morning, and it was all wonderful. I can still fly it, though. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the video away. The cool thing about it is that it's a toy. You can buy it at Brookstone. And regardless of whether or not you have someone who's going to set it up for you and splice it together, you get an app that comes with it that records high-definition video right to your phone. And this is nothing special I've done. Clearly the computer was, but that's not working. But now, with just my iPhone, so right now as it's flying, I can see a high-definition feed on my phone, and it is recording. I can shoot photos. Ideally, we do this with the computer, and then I can broadcast it live over the web. I can shoot high-definition videos, and I've actually used it to document some of the damage that was done by Hurricane Sandy in New York.
My name is Chris Casey. I lead the innovation practice for the Nielsen Company. And I'm delighted to be with you here today at the Edison Awards. Me and my good friend here. I'm delighted because, like the Wizard of Menlo Park, innovation is in our DNA. Our company has been a pioneer in the field of information services for over 90 years now. Arthur Nielsen invented television audience measurement, launching what everyone knows today as the Nielsen TV households. He made it possible for advertisers to be able to select the programming to best reach the viewers that they want to. He was also a pioneer in the field of sales measurement. His foresight here enables manufacturers to be able to measure their sales and their market share with much greater precision. And this pioneering spirit continues at Nielsen today, as reflected in two finalists here for the Edison Awards. One is Nielsen iPad audience measurement, which enables us to track content viewing on iPads now. That's a big deal, as you know, as media viewing continues to fragment. Also, the cross-platform campaign ratings, which enables advertisers to evaluate the effectiveness of both their TV and their online marketing activities using a common yardstick. That, too, is a big deal for marketers. Not only is innovation in the DNA of our company, we have over 1,000 associates around the world who advise our clients on how to succeed at innovation. We've worked on over 175,000 new products over the past 30 years, and we've helped our clients develop some of the most successful innovations in their categories. And that brings me to the topic of my discussion today, how to succeed at innovation. Well, last summer, we published the first ever Nielsen Breakthrough Innovation Report. We analyzed over 11,000 new products in the consumer packaged goods sector. What did we learn? Well, perhaps not surprisingly, many of the lessons that Thomas Edison taught us 100 years ago still hold true today. First lesson, innovation's hard work. The level of innovation activity in the CPG sector has been declining at 6% a year for the past several years. Some of that was driven by the downturn in our economy in the late 2000s. But when we talk to our clients, one of the bigger reasons is ROI, the return on innovation. Here are some sobering statistics. 2 out of every 3 new products launched don't make it past year 2. They fail. Out of the 11,000 new products we evaluated, only 34 were breakthrough innovations. It's a success rate of less than 0.5%. And what do I mean by breakthrough innovation? I mean new products that delivered a new value proposition, that reshaped their categories in which they compete, that thrived in the market for more than 2 years. Many of these winners have become household names. How many of you have had a cup of Chobani yogurt in the last couple of years? There you go. I see some hands waving. How about wonderful pistachios? They come in that little black bag. Yeah. And now I want to see all the hands. How about Bud Light Lime? There you go. Be honest. All right. Now, you might say the success rate of less than 0.5% isn't worth going after. True, these winners didn't transform the world the way the light bulb did or the phonograph did. But the outcomes they've achieved have earned every marketer's dream. The trifecta of they've generated hundreds of millions of dollars in annual sales on an ongoing basis. They've reshaped the categories and the basis for competition in which they compete. And they've elevated the equity of their brands in the minds of consumers. That's why we do it. That's why we work at innovation. Further, based on all the work we've done, we don't believe you need to settle for a success rate of less than 0.5%. The question should be, is there something I can do to improve my company's success rate at innovation? And the answer that I will assert today here is yes, most definitely yes. To explain why this is so, I think we have to take a look back at the problem of innovation, what I'll call the problem of innovation. What's the problem? Well, everyone knows that innovation is a mix of creativity and science. But large companies often struggle how to stimulate creativity and struggle with finding the right balance between these two. How many people here have CEOs or presidents who just say, we just don't have enough big ideas? Right? I'm a president, I say it. It happens. And so in the name of setting creativity free, they let the brand teams and the marketing teams and the innovation teams run wild. They let 1,000 flowers bloom, and what they got back was 999 dead flowers. So discouraged by the lack of success, many companies began cutting back on their investments in new product development. That's why you see the decline of 6% a year. And the pendulum swung the other way. Companies clamped down on the creative types and applied more scientific rigor to their processes. Stage gates and toll gate meetings ensued. They adopted an approach to innovation that I think can best be defined as satisficing. That is, they were satisfied with decisions that sufficed. And they were left with suboptimal outcomes. The problem is both positions were wrong. They leaned either too far to the creative side or too far to the science side. Doing the opposite of something wrong isn't doing the right thing. Trying to do something that's white or black isn't right when the answer is blue. So what then is the right balance between creativity and science? Well, that's not a new question. People have been debating it for years. Our experience, though, suggests that Einstein was right. You all know his famous quote, right? Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Same holds true with innovation. For really breakthrough innovation, you just need that 1% teeny tiny little bit of creativity and a whole lot of hard work. It's what I call a rigorous approach to innovation. So let's take a closer look at that Edison quote. You need both inspiration and perspiration, not one or the other. And here's the thing, there's no recipe for how to mix the two, because you never know when inspiration is going to strike. It's useful to remember that if the story is to be believed. Edison tried over 10,000 experiments before he finally filed his patent for a commercially viable incandescent light bulb. 10,000 experiments. And he continued to experiment with different filament materials afterwards to extend the useful life of that incandescent bulb. Then it hit him. The filament material that they finally settled on for production was something that he had discovered a year and a half earlier while he was on a fishing trip out in Wyoming. You just never know when inspiration is going to strike. So just as important as the words inspiration and perspiration is the source of that quote, Thomas Edison. He devoted his life to the pursuit of innovation. He was a craftsman at the trade of innovation. You don't get to 1,093 patents without committing yourself to a lifelong journey.
I am Ken Gray. I am the product manager, worldwide product manager for large hydraulic excavators for Caterpillar. And you probably know us by being stuck in traffic jams behind our favorite color. You know our favorite color is yellow. You might also know we're the world's leading manufacturer of construction and mining products. We also are the leaders in manufacturing of diesel and gas engines. Also, what you might not know is we're a leading manufacturer of gas turbine engines, as well as the world's leading manufacturer of diesel-electric locomotives. Some facts that people don't really attach to us. We have over 300 products that we offer our customers worldwide, and we are a truly global company operating in 180 countries around the world. My role at Caterpillar, just to set the stage, I'm essentially the CEO of my business. I have everything. I have strategy and design, I have procurement and manufacturing, I have marketing, sales, and product support. I have the P&L and the balance sheet for my business. I'm the entrepreneur. We are the product managers, are the entrepreneurs of our businesses. What I really want to get into after setting the stage is what drives innovation at Caterpillar. And what drives, pardon the expression, a bucket full of innovation that's gone into the product that we're going to show you if you hang around and talk to us today and tonight. Now if I can get it to move. I'm going to start with my favorite Edison quote, and I think if he were alive today, he might put some more emphasis on the last part of this. There's a way to do it better. You need to find it. And he probably would say, you darn well better find it. Because it's a competitive world out there today. And I think what he was really trying to do with this statement was convey a sense of urgency. There's a better way to do virtually everything that we're doing today. And what really drives our innovative spirit at Caterpillar is really connecting with our customers' businesses, learning how they make money, and really finding solutions that help them make more money with our products and solutions than they can make with anyone else's. That's how we connect. That's what drives our innovation teams. And the product that we're going to show you, if you saw it last night, is an example of our innovation. This is a new hybrid excavator. This is our first machine in our product line that is truly a hybrid machine. And it's the first Caterpillar machine to use what we refer to as hydraulic hybrid technology. Last night I was really struck at the reception. For those of you who were interested enough to ask us questions, thank you very much for your interest. Everyone asked where the battery is. Where's the battery? It's a hybrid. It's electric. Where's the battery? There's no battery other than starting the engine. This is a different approach. This is a departure from everything the automotive industry has done and a significant departure from the prevailing winds in our own industry that says that it has to be electric to be a hybrid. Well, in fact, it doesn't have to be electric. A hybrid is a machine that has a device that collects, stores, and reuses energy when it needs it. It doesn't have to be electric. But we were all in a box thinking that it had to be electric for the longest time until what we all describe as a watershed moment for us that happened in 2008, sitting around a table with customers in Japan. And they were owners of competitive hybrid excavators, very much like this machine. And we were pressuring them on the environmental benefits of a hybrid. Tell us the benefits of lower sound. Tell us the benefits of a lower carbon footprint. And they kept pushing back on us. We knew they were going to push back, but we didn't realize the venomous pushback we were going to get. They said, you know, we don't want to talk about a hybrid. We want to talk about reliable and durable product. And we want to talk about a machine that does a job for us. You're the large excavator product guy, right? If I didn't need a big excavator on my side, I'd buy something small. I need it to perform. I need it to do its job. And then last, but don't forget, I have to make money or I can't stay in business. So you have to reduce my owning and operating cost. And as we kept pushing on the environment subject, they kept saying, look, do these things for us. Make it reliable, durable, make it perform, reduce my owning and operating costs, help me bring more money to my bottom line, and I'll buy your hybrid excavator. Very simple message. And our engineers were in the room, and what really drove them is this message from our customers was one that we already knew. We talk to them constantly, and we really understand their businesses. We really work hard to understand their businesses, and I think that's key. But we were, remember what I said, the prevailing wind in 2008 was electric hybrid. We had a skunk works going off on the side, an innovation team that had a different idea. Totally different than that anyone in the industry was doing. And we had to include these ideas into our mainstream product development. Very diverse team of people, not typically from our excavator development team, a different set. So it was very, very important for us to bring these people in. And these photos can't do justice to the people that are involved in this. On the right-hand side is the team across the Pacific. On the top there, that's our vehicle development team on the top. And on the bottom, on the lower right, that's our test team. Both of them are in the Osaka, Kobe, Kansai area of Japan. On the left, those are some of the American teams. In the upper left, that's our tuning team in East Peoria, about 3 hours south of here. And on the lower left, those are the folks that did a lot of the hydraulic component system development, not too far from here in Joliet, the Chicago area. But this is probably less than half of the people that were involved. There are no engine people on the picture, should be. Electrical and electronic systems people on the team, procurement, manufacturing, and the people that are supporting the product, following them and getting feedback from our customers. We were involved in what I came to know, what I came to understand is a mass collaboration. Many of these people, in fact, most of them, have never, and will never meet one another. But they were all singularly focused in on reducing our customers' owning and operating cost in a new way, a way that breaks away from what the industry is doing. And what they delivered was really remarkable, is really remarkable. They have delivered a machine that is 50% more fuel efficient than the industry standard, and it's very safe for me to say that because our own product, the 336D, is the industry standard. So I'm not comparing to a competitor, I'm comparing to ourselves. The new machine outperforms the old one, and it burns 1/3 of the fuel of the one it replaced. That's the equivalent of taking a dozen cars off the road with every machine we replace with a hybrid. And what we're doing to our customers' businesses is, think about a business that uses this machine, and they'll have fleets of these machines, uses roughly 100 gallons of diesel fuel a day. This new machine will use 70. So they're getting to take that right to their bottom line. And they're getting to take more productivity to their bottom line. And the side benefit is we breathe cleaner air, the carbon footprint is lower. They're much quieter machines. We could have the machine running in here and you could you could hear most people's voices. You can hear my voice easily over a machine like that in this room. But it's a very, very quiet machine, and it's a recyclable machine as well. So they're making more money with the machine, bringing more of the bottom line, and that's why they're going to buy it. Not because it's environmentally responsible or of its social responsibility. They'll buy it because it brings more money to their bottom line. We're doing it in 3 ways. Some great questions last night. Everybody wants to know how this hybrid works, but there are really 3 elements. I'm going to focus on just one of them. The first element we call conserve is we're just running the engine at a much lower speed than we ever have before. And we're compensating with a larger pump. Everything happens in an excavator with moving hydraulic fluid around. So we're compensating for the lower speed with a much bigger pump, and we're controlling it electronically. So we get the same power and we get snappy response that an operator expects sitting in the seat. The second thing we're doing is we're optimizing the distribution of the energy that we have available to us through this thing called the ACS, the Adaptive Control System, which is a unique main valve designed specifically for this machine that can independently put power where we need it, precisely when we need it. And that's the second element of it. And it's the system integration of the 3 elements that really gets us the fuel consumption reduction that we need. Everyone asks me, how much do you get from this? How much do you get from that? It's the deep system integration that permits us to get the level of fuel that we want. But the part that everybody wants to understand is the last piece, and it's the reuse element. Can we start that? Thank you. You know, I know most of you don't get up in the morning and get in an 80,000-pound machine to start your day, and thank goodness I don't. I'd bang that truck every time, probably. But what's going on here is a very typical excavator application where it's loading out in front, and it's swinging over the side, and it's putting it in the truck. And we've slowed this down so you can see what's going on. But every 14 seconds or so, this machine is ringing the cash register for its owner. If it's swinging and dumping in the truck, it's ringing the cash register, okay? So every 14 seconds, there are two opportunities to stop and start, and instead of running a generator to charge a battery to slow the machine down and then reusing that energy to accelerate, we're actually putting this energy into a hydraulic accumulator. It's really like a big shock absorber. It has hydraulic oil on one side and it has an inert gas on the other side. And all we're doing is we're connecting the hydraulic side of the accumulator to the hydraulic system, and when we want to slow down, we build up pressure, and that pressure slows the machine until it stops. And when we want to accelerate, we release that pressure back in, we release that piston, and we release that oil. The inert gas forces against that piston, drives it back out. It's a really simple system. That's one of the reasons I liked it so much. I could understand it. It's one of the reasons it's so appealing to our customers as well, because they can understand it. And it's one of the reasons that it works. So you can see what's going on in the back here. You can see that now we're going over to stop and we're charging this accumulator, and as we accelerate back out, we're going to use that energy and we're going to come back to another stop. We're going to use it, charge it up again, and now we need it again, we're going to accelerate back out. It's just like a big coil spring, except the operator can control when he starts to tighten the coil spring or she starts to tighten the coil spring and when she wants to release the energy. It's that simple. That's what's so beautiful about it. And it's that integration, I said, that delivers this 25% fuel consumption reduction. What I want to impress upon you also is this is not an isolated case of innovation at Caterpillar. These are three other examples we showed last week at Bauma in Munich, which is our largest trade show in the world, and these just happen to be in the construction sector. I'm also in the construction sector, of course. That's a D7E on the left. It's an electric drive machine. It's not hybrid, but it's a very efficient way to drive the machine, and they save about 25% in fuel with that approach in that application. The one in the middle is a 966KXE. It's a brand new wheel loader with rubber tires on it, something I don't relate to very well in my job. But that machine has a continuously variable transmission, something you might see in the automotive industry, the first application in a piece of construction equipment. Again, it saves 25 to 30% fuel compared to the machine it replaced. And on the right, we're digital too. Most of people think of us as big yellow iron, but that's an application cat grade control of using GPS to help an operator cut exactly the contour that's required on the job, and we've seen efficiency productivity improvements of up to 50% on individual machines, and at a site level, at a work site level, when we're tying all these machines together with GPS and helping guide the operator to move material around very efficiently. So I'm just going to leave you with one of my favorite photos. This is as close as we get to a glamour photo in the construction business right here. But I just want to say thank you again, because what we're really trying to do here is recognize our innovators. So you're going to get to meet some of the inventors today and tonight. And that's really what this is. This is a recognition event for them. And we thank you so much for participating in it. And I'll leave you with one last quote. We're really proud of the accomplishment and the accolades, but that's a perfect quote from Edison for us. Because again, it's all about lowering our customers' owning and operating cost. And we're going to win awards. We have won awards. We're a finalist for one here tonight. We're very proud of that. But really, in the end, our customers are going to decide whether we win or not. If they buy it, they make more money with it, they come back and they buy another one, or 10 of them, or 100 of them, then this product will truly be a success. And I think that's very much the way Thomas Edison thought about his inventions as well. We have about 300 patents on this machine. We just have a few of the inventors around that have their names on those patents. So again, this event is all about them tonight, and we just, again, want to say thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. All right, so it's really intimate. We can actually have a conversation with this many people. If there are any questions along the way, feel free to, oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Feel free to shout out. And can I just raise this up?
Sure.
Cool.
But we're going to put this in. So that-
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay,
And then do you need a clicker?
that would help. Well, I can just use the, okay. So my name is Catherine Fagnan, and founder of Rad Matter, the experiment, and Marshall Buxton is the product manager. And my background is about 2 decades in innovation, really focused on bold opportunities in the Fortune 500 as well as government, and in the last 5 years around higher education and the future of work. So we're going to share with you an opportunity and a project that we've been working on. And I will kind of give you the backstory and why we do what we do, and then Marshall will get into a bit of what our challenges have been as innovators of this very disruptive technology. But again, feel free to raise your hand if you have questions along the way. Do you want to say anything? Or?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Marshall. I'm the product manager of Rad Matter. I've got about half a decade of experience in educational technology, solving problems in ed with tech. So we'll get started.
Yeah. So really what drives us is this question about how to unleash talent and put all of our talent to use. And so in the process of the last 5 years, we've done a lot of research on students and studying what's broken in higher education. And there's a lot of mythology around that, but I don't know if you know, 60% drop out or fail out of college. And then the story gets worse when you think about what happens afterwards. About 1/3 of them that do graduate don't end up getting jobs. So we really went in to deconstruct what's going on there and learned that, for the most part, college students crave this job experience and real life experience. They're there in college to get their degree, to get a job. And yet academics doesn't teach jobs, it teaches academics. So there's this disconnect, and students report feeling like they live in a bubble. They go through this 4 years having very little insight about jobs. They learn everything they know about jobs from TV, and from career counselors who really don't understand the jobs themselves, from parents who don't understand the jobs themselves and just think it sounds like a good career path. And the professors very often haven't worked in those fields. So they're living in this bubble. They think, for the most part, their college education is irrelevant. So we really wanted to fix that. And what we realized is that employers crave real-world experience as well. Right now, it takes about 13,000 resumes to hire 25 new college students. So they're sifting through, of the 1.7 million new graduates in 2012, 1.1 million jobs were available. So 600,000 were not getting jobs. And all of these students are playing job lottery. They're just throwing out online resumes and inundating organizations. So we really wanted to rethink how an organization would spot, draft, scout their next generation workforce and be able to bring value back into the education experience at the same time. So really that's about employers getting to know students while they're still in college, being part of their development process, and essentially scouting them through that process. A little bit more on poor matches and more of a value proposition for companies to be involved. Of those who do get jobs, the 1.1 million that do get jobs, 36% leave in the first year. And that costs the US alone about $5 billion, US employers about $5 billion. 80% of those who stay report being unhappy and unproductive and distracted. And they talk about using Facebook and going on Amazon and Googling and doing all kinds of other things. Salary.com did a study that was to prove their theory that these people weren't being paid enough, therefore they were distracted. And that's not true. What they found was they weren't challenged and they were bored. So organizations have this workforce, this next generation workforce starting, and they're not leaving those jobs. And some leave, but a lot of them stay because they're so afraid of making a mistake, going to another company that's going to be just as bad, and really ending up just unemployed. So they're just thankful to have a job. We think that's a tragedy both for humans, for society, for those individuals, but also for business. So it really drives us to figure out how to enable the best matches for epic success for both individuals, innovators, and organizations. This is Trey Burke, and this is just an outstanding shot, and this is from the Michigan-Louisville game. And when we look at this, we think, wouldn't it be great if your employees were doing that every single day? How do you get people to perform at that level where they're going above and beyond and enjoying every minute of it? And not only enable that, but also be able to see that in terms of a recruiting methodology. Ultimately, we want to make sure that organizations can draft the very best by watching students play. And we'd spent a lot of time researching games. And there's some really interesting stats around this. The average World of Warcraft player plays about 22 hours a week of World of Warcraft. And a number of the students that we interviewed were spending a lot more time becoming guild masters than they were actually spending time on their coursework. So we really wanted to understand what's happening in World of Warcraft and how can you apply that to the world of academics and the world of work. A couple more things. 97% of Gen Y plays social games. By the time the average Gen Yer is 18 years old, they have spent 3,000 hours reading and 9,000 hours playing games. And so there's something that happens there, and there's a lot of research, and happy to dive into that at another time, but it's all about flow and understanding engagement. So what is interesting there is Gen Y actually perceives life as a game. And MTV did a study in 2011. They're looking for that level of engagement and that kind of narrative to level up not only in games, not level up in ELF, but level up themselves in their best possible game. And that means throughout their career. So we developed this platform called Rad Matter. It is an online talent development platform where students are tackling the challenges of companies in order to prove their capabilities and get recognition and even win jobs. And at the same time, employers, by putting out these challenges, are able to see how these students are thinking, engage them in their world of work, and build a beautiful talent pool of actively engaged college students. If you're interested in a demo of that, you can catch us out and around. We're here. But so to get into the value proposition there, really we know that the best performing companies have the most engaged employees. And there was recently a study, and I just want to make sure I get the stats right here, so the Temkin Group did a study that the engaged employees are 2 times more likely to do something good for a company, 3 times more likely to make a recommendation for improvements, and 6 times more likely to recommend that a friend or a relative to apply to a job for that company. So, and they also proved, I think it was 75% of the best, let me get this one right. The top financially performing companies report having 75% employee engagement versus 47% at the lower end of the spectrum. So the point is, engagement matters, and what we're proposing is that you start engaging your future workforce when they're still in college, from the time they're freshmen till the time that they're seniors, so that by the time they graduate, you've onboarded them, you understand them, they understand you, and you've made the right match. You've drafted the best. So very quickly, A couple case studies. We worked with Manpower Group and enabled their internships over the summer. They did an A/B test of their sales, marketing, and technology interns. And what they did on the first day of the internship over the summer was half the interns walked in and were assigned to a traditional internship, which meant you were assigned to a hiring manager and you would do what they wanted you to do every day. The other half had their internship enabled by Rad Matter. So every day they would come in, open their computers, and find their mission of the day or mission of the week, and we call challenges missions. So they would start working on them. And the students called this structured freedom. They knew exactly what their task was. They went out and solved it any way they wanted to. They posted their solutions into the platform, and then 100 sales and marketing professionals within Manpower Group used the platform to rate and review them, similar to Facebook. They could thumbs up, thumbs down, give comments. So the students were getting enormous amount of feedback from the organization. They felt incredibly rewarded. And not only that, they also won things like one of the big prizes was to sit in the CEO's desk and tell him about their ideas for his business. So a lot of career relevant, not cash prizes that also motivated the students to work harder and perform better. By the way, they did a survey afterwards, and they asked the employees about the two sets. And they found that the Rad Matter interns were more engaged, more creative, more innovative, more productive, more improved over time, and more employable than the other group. So, a success. But the idea is not that you're just running your internships internally like that. The idea is that you can scale that and put challenges out to college students all over the country by using the platform. And one of your fellow Edison Award winners, CarMD, is working with us now to do that. And as part of winning an Edison Award, we are inviting you to be part of our experiment and start challenging college students. So it takes a little bit of work to do that. And Marshall will tell you about that. But really here, the idea is that you are the Yodas to the next generation of Jedis. And they want to be engaged in your narrative. They are craving being involved in your work. So we've got a platform to help enable that relationship.
So can I get a show of hands? How did that sound? Did that sound interesting? Did that sound something like you would do that? Okay. So about a year now that we've been doing customer development and product development, that's been the resounding response that we've gotten from organizations. And part of the problem of bringing an innovative solution to light is that it changes the way that organizations work. It changes the way that recruiters recruit. It changes the way that interactions happen. So, moving forward, we'd really love those of you that are actually interested in trying this out to come talk to us, because we've been running to tons of roadblocks with organizations who are having a lot of trouble adopting a game. So that's more so Catherine's background as an innovation consultant for 2 decades. But we're very interested in molding this product to best suit your needs. So Catherine's wearing bright orange pants. She can come find us after the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Doug Stone. I'm a VP of Innovation at Mac Douglas, and really, of being a VP of Innovation, anyone can be one. You just have to really know what innovation is about. I'm going to teach you that today, so you all can become VPs of Innovation. I am kind of an idea monkey, and I'll talk about that a little later. I built a Heineken keg raft. And that was one of the things that I did that sort of expressed this eventuality idea I'll talk about. I'm also a ringleader. I'm a very process-oriented person. I got my master's degree at Northwestern's Masters of Product Design and Development, a fantastic program. If you have people in your organizations that need to learn about innovation, it is by far the best program in the area. When we are an agency of innovation, just like an advertising agency helps you advertise, we help you innovate. We work for 25% of the Fortune 500. And we noticed something happening out there, right? This is Google web searches for the term innovation budget and chief innovation officer. And somewhere around 2000, innovation budgets started to pop up, right? And then lagging a little bit, chief innovation officers started to be searched for, of course, to control the budget. And in 2012, the SEC actually recognized the term chief innovation officer as a formal position inside of a corporation. So what's happening, right? There's the same thing with book mentions, right? Innovation budget, lots of book mentions happening here. And then followed on by that. Innovation, design thinking, some people are calling design methodology, is becoming a corporate practice, just like accounting is, right? And so what can you do internally in order to make sure that your organization is doing this competency? We talk about process, right? We write books about how to do it as a process. We talk about culture. We talk about what it feels like in order to be part of an innovation culture. And then we talk about, in industries, what's it take to be innovative, to try to inspire and empower people. So today I'm going to teach you about 3 things. I'm going to go fast because I'm going to try to stick to the right time. I'm going to teach you the 2 forces that enable innovation, how to have a clear definition for it, and how to manage that, all right? A lot in 15 minutes. So first, though, I'm going to give you an idea what it feels like in order to be on an innovation project. All right, can we start that up? Maybe. Or maybe this is where, oh, we got it. Great. So your CEO goes, hey, we have to innovate, right? And everyone's like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Right? I tell someone that tickled someone.
You're just sitting there.
So 40 feet in the air. Sort of a giant slide. Oh, man. Get out of the way, dog.
Yeah, stay back, friends.
No.
Roxy.
You're in danger.
So they've just been like,
I'm going to jump over Roxy. What happened? Oh, Nick was down the top there. Oh. Yeah.
Can you feel him up there? Can you feel him? Yeah.
all right, no more.
Yeah! Notice the guy with the broken arm. First successful run, not necessarily the first time they tried it.
Lay down nice and flat. Yeah, I'm recording.
Of course, now that one person's done it, right? Everyone wants to do it. Whoa! All right. Fun, right? Everyone's like, innovation's fun. And it is. You don't want to wind up like this, right? And there's so many people, right? So many people inside of companies that this happens to. And we think we know why. So let's see, go one more. So our core competency, what strikes fear into our competition, is that we inspire and empower curiosity. Right? Inspire and empower curiosity, but we do it to 2 very specific audiences. We go through a process, and you don't even have to read the words on this. All you have to know is that innovation diverges and converges, and then diverges again, and converges again, and then diverges again. And we as people, we have a preference. Right? We either like to diverge, oh, let's get all the ideas, let's brainstorm, right? Like brainstorming what's going on out there. Or let's converge, now let's figure it out, let's get the budget behind it, right? Let's figure out if it's going to be profitable and go. And that happens a lot in this process. So you have to be really good at managing that process. Everyone knows who this is? Walt Disney, right? Anyone know who that is? Roy Disney, his brother, right? No one ever hears about Roy. Walt was the idea monkey. Roy was the ringleader, right? If they were going to get anything done, they had to work together. These guys, right? Orville and Wilbur Wright, right? Little known fact, I believe it was Wilbur, I always get it mixed up sometimes, was about to go to Harvard, was playing hockey, got a puck in the face, knocked out his 2 front teeth. He was embarrassed by the way he looked, so he stayed home. Good that happened, because Orville was a truant, right? Always coming up with crazy ideas. And between the 2 of them, they were able to get the plane off the ground. If Wilbur had gone to college, I would say right now we would never have heard of Orville, and he would have crashed his first time and died. Would have. You guys know these guys, right? Idea monkey, ringleader, right? Steve Jobs was fantastic at getting people to do things that were impossible. They said he had a reality distortion field. But that wasn't because he was the idea monkey saying, we can, oh, this thing, this thing, this thing. He was like, get it done. I know you can do that. Get that done. Let me focus you on a problem, right? Make the battery smaller. Make the touchscreen more responsive, right? Use a tougher glass. Find a tougher glass. These guys, right? And it's funny because he's the ringleader, and Paul Allen came out with a book that said, hey, I was the idea monkey, I was the idea man, and when they split up, Paul Allen's stuff really hasn't been very successful after they split up, right? But the ringleader's still successful. Interesting, huh? All right, if you're an idea monkey, you love this. If you're a ringleader, you love this, right? If you're an idea monkey, you understand something called complex adaptive systems. And whether or not you're an idea monkey, I highly recommend starting to look into the field of complex adaptive systems. It's starting to be formalized, just like innovation's starting to be formalized. Some of these other things are. If you're a ringleader, you love traditional systems. Right? You love command and control. Hey, if you're put in the role, you have the power, right? If you're an idea monkey, if you're closest to the problem, then you have the power, right? Two different systems. All right, if you're a monkey, you want to predict it. You are all about eventualities in the future. Roger Martin, he's the father of design thinking, some people say. And he says there are two forces in business. There are reliabilities, and then there is validity. And I think he chose a really bad word, just like when we chose global warming as what to call the thing that's happening to us, the catastrophic weather conditions we're having. Validity is not a good word. Prediction or eventualities is what he was talking about. If you're a monkey, you love that. Ideas, ideas, ideas. Anything's possible. If you're a ringleader, you can tell when you're not talking about an eventuality when someone says, prove it. Because you can't prove probability. You can understand how probable it might be, but the only way to prove it is to wait for it. And in innovation, if you wait for it, it's too late. Businesses can't move fast enough to adapt to it. Software companies can, and that's why you see software companies adapting really fast, because the future comes to them and then they can quickly put out code. But when you have a manufacturing environment in which you have to redo lines or redo manufacturing, you're not going to do it. So they love prove it, process, process, process. All right, next, respect the yin for your yang. Why do we empower? We empower the monkeys. We give them rigor, right? We say, focus on this problem. Make every touch point uniquely yours. You can make this as cool as you want, but we're having a meeting in 3 weeks. That touch point for the project, monkey it all you want, make it yours, but that's gonna happen, and we're not gonna miss that, right? We inspire the ringleaders. We say to the ringleaders, hey, 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 let's get quantity before we converge. Right? Before you settle in on that one idea, let's make sure we've explored a lot of ideas. And we infuse outside peer-to-peer expertise. There's nothing that a ringleader likes better than to hear that the problem has been solved before in another industry, and they get to take credit for it in their industry. And make fast failure be okay. Make it understood to inspire ringleaders to say it's okay to fail as long as you learn from it. All right. So figure out in your own mind who you are, right? Are you a Roy or are you a Walt? Do you think in eventualities this thing is probable to happen? Or do you break down the past into nice compartmental little pieces where you know you've got levers in order to move that thing back and forth? That's reliability, right? An American business is born and bred on reliability. That muscle is so strong in American business. Eventuality, not so much. And we're starting to recognize that we need to improve that muscle, because it's not one is better than the other, it's how they work together that's important, okay? All right. You got two types of companies, right? You got the startup companies, you got the Fortune 500 companies. These guys flare out after 3 years, they flare out after 40 years. Why? They're only paying attention to eventualities. The eventuality happens, they can't make it reliable. They only pay attention to the reliabilities, and after a while, the environment changes. The market changes, the economy changes, you know, and then they start to fail. How do you prevent that from happening? 3 things. Safe place is to practice reliability and eventuality thinking. Like, if you're in a company that is only about reliability and you try to practice eventuality, you're gonna get in trouble. You gotta, as a company, create those safe places to practice. Projects with innovation, talent, and process to reduce risk, right? To reduce risk. This is people who are trained in programs like the one at the MPD program at Northwestern. There's people who have done innovation. You know, a lot of companies hire ex-military, right? And they don't hire ex-military to come in and kill people, right? They hire ex-military because they have a rigor and a discipline. They understand traditional systems. You should be hiring people that are just like ex-military. You might not be hiring them to innovate specifically, but you need to bring them into your company so that the rigor that they have in innovation can be spread throughout your company. And then services that increment ideas into reality. Right? If you can't increment an idea slowly into reality, if your organization goes idea, fund, build, and the expectation is that something out the back of this is going to come out and it's going to be innovative and good, you're fooling yourself. You got to incrementally iterate that thing into reality as you go along. You've got to pivot as you go along, because no one has the answer at the point of funding, right? No one has those answers, and all the systems and companies are set up in order to fund things and build them. Very reliable, but now we're dealing in a different world. A very different world. We're in a complex adaptive system. We have 7 billion people in the world, and raw material is not the thing that drives business anymore. Relationships, people, human capital drives business, right? We've shifted. All right. How am I doing on time? 2 minutes, oh my God. All right, inspire, give you a definition. When you get to work and then someone says, we have to be innovative, you go, what's the definition of innovation? No one has the same definition. Here's one that works. The synchronized intersection of insight, idea, and commercialization, right? Synchronized. If the idea is not synchronized, you get the Iridium phone. Interesting idea, no one wants it, right? If the communication is wrong, you get the TiVo, right? You TiVo stuff, but you don't have a TiVo at home, you have a DVR. They failed in communicating what the benefit of that product was. And worse yet, if you get the insight wrong, you wreck your company. Right? JCPenney's had an insight that they said, people don't like sales. Right? And they tried to use that insight everywhere, okay? Everywhere in the company. People don't like sales when they're shopping, they see the product that's been on sale, and they paid more for it. People love sales on Thursday or Friday when they're thinking, where am I going to shop this weekend? Right? You use that same insight in both places, and you're going to wreck your company. So this is dangerous territory, and there's a way to stay out of that dangerous territory. You got to pick a sexy butt. We do it in a very formalized, reliable way. I, statement of fact, because, reason, but tension. I eat fast food because it's convenient, but I feel guilty 2 hours later. I can test that statement with my target audience. I can know the context in which it's appropriate or not appropriate, and then I can act on the tension if I find out that it is something that it needs to be innovated on. All right, so let's get through all that. I'm going to go to one thing to leave you with. Can I play that? I'm going to prove to you that you need help innovating. All right, watch the mask turn around. So we have something in our brain called top-down processing. It says if you've seen something the same way over and over and over again, your brain will skip it. It'll just pretend like it's not there. So as this comes around, there's a hollow mask. You know it's hollow inside? People see that? Everyone see that happen? Yeah. Now your smart people, don't let it happen. What that is your brain doesn't know what an inside nose is. All day long you've been looking at other people and their nose pop out. right? And so you don't know that noses pop in. Your brain's skipping it. It's going, I don't need to worry about which way noses go. So you're smart people. When it comes around again, you're intelligent, right? Don't let it happen. Use your brains. Go, it's going to go in. It's going to go in. It's going to go in. And you can't. Right? You can't make that happen. So you need to be able to have your team of people who are innovating use things to feel the mask. We use cognitive science for that. We use a lot of different cognitive theory to say this is how people make decisions. Then we research based on that cognitive theory, but we give you the ability to feel the inside of the mask. I've run out of time. I've not done my job of not doing it properly. Thank you very much. And hope you have a great day. This is a great conference.
I want to tell you about something that I've been doing for the last 5 years and is now on sale, and it's a new sort of industrial robot, very different from current industrial robots. This is a picture of Baxter in a plastics factory in Connecticut with Mildred. Mildred's a line worker, worked in the factory for 20 years, had never seen an industrial robot before. This is 60 minutes after she first saw this robot. She had already programmed it to do a useful task in the factory. And that was 60 minutes after the robot had come off the loading dock. So it's very different from the way we currently see industrial robots. We're working on human-centric robots, and we really emphasize collaboration, safety, and ease of use. Now, most of you out in the audience are too young to remember this, but once upon a time, ordinary people didn't touch computers. They were mainframes behind a wall. And then, around 1980, with the PC, we started letting ordinary people touch computers, and then we just got a flowering of forms and a flowering of uses and a complete transformation of our society. Up until recently, ordinary people haven't been able to touch robots. Robots have been behind safety cages in factories. And the question that occurred to me a dozen years ago was, what would happen if ordinary people could touch robots? And for some applications, they already can. We've had a revolution over the last 10 years of robots that ordinary people can touch. From the top left there is the intuitive surgical Da Vinci system, where surgeons use robots to operate on people. And if you have prostate surgery in this country now, it's very likely it will be a robot operating on you with a surgeon using the robot. Top right corner is the Kiva systems, robots that are used for fulfillment. Amazon bought that company, and now lots of the goods that you get in the mail or UPS every day have come via these robots, and ordinary people are using them. In the middle, the Roomba, of course. In the bottom, military robots. And just from my own experience with the previous company I started, iRobot, over the last decade, we've had an incredible impact on robots that ordinary people use. From June of 2002, there were 0 ground robots in the US military. There's now 12,000 of them, used by ordinary soldiers. In June of 2002, there were 0 robots that did any work in people's homes, now over 9 million in the US, Roombas and Scubas. So at iRobot, we built lots of robots that ordinary people could interact with in the home and in the military. And the reason that things took off over the last 10 years is that computation and sensors have gotten exponentially cheaper for the last 50 years, and in particular, in the last 10 years, driven by the cell phone industry. Small, lightweight sensors, small cameras, and very powerful embedded processors lets us do much more with robots. Research in computer vision and something called simultaneous localization and mapping have made great strides in the last 10 years, and that's enabled things like the Google self-driving car and all the things that are going into top-end cars right now, where cars are really becoming robots with people inside them. And for certain tasks, robots have passed the usability threshold. While I was at iRobot, I learned 2 lessons, and if you read the business books, but I wasn't a business guy, I was an MIT electrical engineering and computer science professor, so I didn't read those books. But if you read the books, you know these lessons. It was harder for me to learn. But the first one was that something about disruption. The Roomba was not the first home robot on the market. Electrolux had the Trilobite on the market for 2,000 euros. And by the way, it was a little too tall. In American kitchens, there's a kickboard in the kitchen where your toes can go underneath the cabinets just a little bit, so you can get closer to the countertop. the trilobite was a little too high, so it couldn't go under that, and that's where all the dirt accumulates, so it didn't actually clean the kitchen floor very well. That was one problem with it. The Roomba fixed that problem. But also, we made a conscious decision to make it low cost, and we came out at $200 compared to 2,000 euros. There hadn't been much of a market for home cleaning robots at 2,000 euros, but there was at $200. So doing something disruptive can create new markets. The other thing that I learned from iRobot was we had lots of robots in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we had a competitor called Foster Miller, which then got bought by Kinetic, a British aerospace company, also based in Massachusetts. And we didn't think much of their robots. Instead of being digital, they were analog. They weren't as good as our robots. Our robots were much better. And then word came from the field in Iraq and Afghanistan that the soldiers thought our robots sucked. How could that be? Well, it was the user interface. The user interface had been designed by some MIT engineers. And you could do anything with that interface if you were an MIT engineer. And when word came back that it was really the user interface, one of our engineers said, well, we need smarter users then. Oh, okay, we'll just tell the Army that, well, they should have PhDs doing everything, engineering PhDs. No, the right thing was to look at the user, figure out what the user was good at, and change the user interface. So when we put a game controller interface on the robot, with 5 minutes experimentation, the 19-year-old soldiers got 85% of the capability of the robot. Previously, with 2 months of training, they didn't get the 85% capability. So the second lesson was match the user's capabilities, match what the users can almost do, and then things get a lot easier to use. So if you look at current industrial robots, they are, and this is the nerve-wracking part because we didn't test on this computer. No? Okay, we tested on a different computer. Yeah. Okay, this is going to be difficult. Can we go out of here and find the videos since... Okay. Now, what are we doing? Are we continuing or?
We're going to bring it to you once you make the comments about what they're going to see.
Okay, I'm not sure where I am now. Sorry about this. What I was going to show you was a current industrial robot. Oh, we're going to change computers. Okay. I was going to show you a current industrial robot. Current industrial robots are dangerous because they are very much like the industrial robots of 1961, when computers were expensive and sensors were expensive. So they don't have much of the way in external sensors, and they will do their operation without sensing anything externally. So if you go into a current factory with industrial robots, what you'll see is scenes like this. It's sort of like Dante's Inferno. There are no people there. This is a body shop in an automobile factory where there's lots of robots, no people, and if a person comes into this space, the robot's shut down. And to program these robots, you have to understand quaternions and six-dimensional vectors. Ordinary workers don't interact with them. And in final assembly in a car factory, there are no robots and all workers just because they're too dangerous to be together. So in the US, there are over 300,000 small manufacturing companies, less than 500 employees, almost none of which have any robots, because to get a robot in, you have to get lots of consultants, lots of expense, about 5 times the capital cost of the robot. There's lots of barriers to entry. So we started Rethink Robotics in September 2008. It's a venture-backed company in Boston, Massachusetts, and we started shipping our very different-looking robots in January of this year. I hope you noticed the similarity between our logo and this photo. We had to give the guy an orange shirt, but this is in a factory. Notice that the person is up there close and personal, touching the robot. The robots are safe to interact with, and you don't program them, because current industrial robots are sort of like if you bought an intelligent phone and the instruction said, first write your software to make it into a telephone app, and then you can use it. that's not how we get our intelligent phones. They come with software. Current industrial robots don't. This robot comes with lots of software and lots of sensors. So we're trying to make robots that work with people, unbelievably inexpensive, and trying to expand the robot marketplace. So this is Baxter. I'm not going to describe very much about the details of it, but I'm going to show you a video now of someone using it. So here is a person going up to the robot and training it to do a very simple pick-and-place operation. She grabs the arm, she moves it around, she presses a button that closes the fingers. The robot realizes that when the fingers close, there's something there, so it infers, she must have meant that I should pick something up here. No menus to say yes or no. The robot just makes the inferences, and now the robot has been trained in a few seconds to do a blind, i.e. no vision in this particular task, go to a place, look for something, see if it's there. If it feels in its fingers, then pick it up, put it down over here. Now, she trained the robot by moving the arm around. The robot's now thinking, that wasn't a very good kinematic arrangement for this task, and I should get this arm out of the way. It's got a little puzzled look on its face as it's thinking through how to optimize the program that it inferred from her, and from now on, it will be much more efficient. So I'm just going to show you that same training, looking at the screen. It's a little washed out here, I'm afraid, but you can just see the crosses there for the location of the two arms. Is a planned view of what's in front of the robot. When she closed the fingers, it inferred pick up, and there's a little up arrow saying, that's a pickup. Now it's inferring that she's putting it down over here, and so it's inferred the program, and from seeing what she was doing with the arm, and now it's ready to run. But this robot is very safe to be around. Don't try this at home with a current industrial robot, but you can be in its workspace. It senses something happens, feels the force, stops, and it's safe to be with. And I'm going to show you a few vision-based tasks, and I'm getting out of time here, but we'll just look at a couple of things here. You can see his fingers on the buttons there. Here he's shown it how to pick something up from inside, and it inferred that when the fingers went out and felt the force, it must have been an inside-out pick, and here it's picking off a conveyor belt and going over and putting these things in a tray over here in an array. I think I'm going to skip the rest of this video in the interest of time. It goes on to use different sorts of tasks, different sorts of pickups, different sorts of put-downs. It also shows how when you build your own hand for the robot, instead of having to tell the robot what the hand is capable of and what it looks like, the robot uses essentially a blue screen, looks at the hand itself and infers everything about the hand, and then is able to use it, so that we outsource the hard engineering problems not to the user but to the robot. So this is a different category of industrial robot, and there's lots more videos out in the display area out there. There's no integration. It just plugs into 110 volts in the wall. And out of the box, we have them working in factories in less than an hour. There's no programming. A line worker, ordinary worker without a high school diploma, figures out how to program it in a few minutes. And it's got some intelligence, so it realizes if it drops something, it's got to go pick it up. It realizes, if my fingers closed and I felt something, that means the grasp is from the outside in, etc. It's got little pieces of common sense, but most importantly, no safety cages. It doesn't take large chunks of the factory floor if you've got the robots. It can be in amongst people, and people can take over the tasks for it or help it when it's getting problems. And it's an extensible platform where we put out a software release every 3 months. Our next one will be coming out on Monday, which increases the capabilities of the robot. And we have a couple of slogans we use, that the robot knows what you mean and does what you want, and that simple things are simple to train, but we let the manufacturing engineer be able to go deeper into the interface and train complex things. So complex things are possible. I'm almost out of time here, so I'm going to skip over the philosophy. Just show you a little article from Plastics News from February 20th. We first delivered a robot to this factory on February 18th. By February 20th, one of the line workers who'd never seen robots before had become in charge of the robot, was training it to do tasks, and by the Wednesday of that week, got it delivered on Monday, had the robot packing plastic toys for sale in China. This is in Pennsylvania. So what we're trying to do is make it cost effective to do manufacturing in the US. And in fact, our robot, with 14 degrees of freedom on its arms, at base price, including warranty, software upgrades, is $22,000. That's with 16 custom gearboxes made in the USA. So we believe manufacturing can be effective in the USA. This is one of the tools which will make it more useful. I'm not going to say why it can be so expensive. I will say that when a current player in industrial robots, one of the big industrial robot companies, is in the audience, I always ask them how high their robot can jump. And they look at me like I'm crazy. What do you mean, how high can a robot jump? And I point out that Honda, with their Asimo robot, is very proud that their humanoid robot can jump a millimeter. And Boston Dynamics in Boston, who's building military robots, is very proud they've got some robots that can jump over fences. So for those companies, jumping how high a robot can jump is a good metric. For industrial robots right now, the metrics they all use are precision, repeatability, and speed. For our robot Baxter, we don't concentrate on those metrics. We've got a different set of metrics which we think are important. Adaptability, flexibility, ease of use, which current industrial robots don't have, and throughput. Well, how's throughput different from speed? Current industrial robots, typical system integration time is 9 months to set up a task for the robot that you then have to run for a year or so to amortize the cost of running the task. And if the robot has to be very fast to be cost effective then. But suppose the task you're trying to set up the robot up for is done in an hour or 2 hours. If it takes 9 months to set it up and it does the work in an hour or 2 hours, that's lousy throughput. Whereafter, our robot isn't as fast as those industrial robots, but it's for small companies doing small jobs that change all the time. So it can be a little slower if the setup time is 5 minutes rather than 9 months. The total throughput for that job is way better than a current industrial robot, even though the robot doesn't have the speed. And we don't have the speed so that we get the safety. So, different set of metrics. We think it's an innovation to have this set of metrics be important, and we're trying to hit that market spot where these are important and go to these 300,000 US companies that currently don't have industrial robots and get them to use this new sort of industrial robot. And it's a very different sort of industrial robot. It interfaces with existing equipment. Software release that's out next week doesn't yet do button pushing, but the one that will come out later this year does let the robot sense existing machinery, push buttons, operate machines, and interact with them. And I think I've just run out of time. Thank you very much for your attention.